the only time I'm allowed to look at the camera.
不好意思. This is so good. This is so good.
Don't say more, let's talk. Oh man, I love this question. You're able to launch things that may not be hyper polished, but you can launch them in the spirit of learning.
Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for inviting me. I've been watching your show for a while now, and I was like, why is he not picking me up? I also have time in between meetings.
You were on the list for a long time, but I was not sure if you're going to agree actually.
Of course.
You majored in the computer science, business administration, modeling, virtual environments, spaces, all those things. It's really hard to comprehend for people like me. But it looks very cool. I know that you started your career back in Ecuador, and it was United Bible Association or Society.
United Bible Society.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's
and you spent quite a few years with the company, and that's where you discovered the link between creativity and technology, and you fall in love in it. Can you give more little bit details about that time?
Sure. So I started studying and working part-time as soon as I turned 18 and I started college. For a variety of reasons, I had to like self-fund my university, and I was working part-time in an animation arm of the United Bible Societies, and I was a scanner boy. I was literally just scanning hundreds of paper, stacks of paper. Because traditional animation, it was being digitized, so you draw on paper all the frames, you scan them, and then you digitize that, you clean the lines, you close the lines, and so on. So I started as a scanner boy, but I was studying computer science, so I was like building software and building small scripts to automate parts of my job. So I actually automated a lot of things like the batch processing of renaming the files, and then later to vectorizing the lines, and then anticipating where the lines may be crossing and so on. And before I knew, I kept like making myself obsolete in all these manual jobs because I built scripts for it. And I ended up working in that studio for like 7 years. But that's when I realized how through technology you can create little tools to enhance, I guess, the creative expression of a group of people, right? And then I ended up spending like 7 years of my life there, producing a bunch of films of biblical characters, characters based on the Bible, for different kind of Christian denominations, including like Catholic, Protestant, and whatnot. And it was a fun ride. And then that, to your point, that's where I fell in love with the potential, right, of technology to put a creative expression out there. Design, you could say, in a way. I never studied design, but that's how I slowly kind of finessed my way through it.
And then you start learning yourself, right? Like piece by piece, like reading, watching.
Right. Yeah. I did a lot of training when it comes to design, but not like formal academic preparation, right? So my background is still computer science. Later on, I actually specialized on virtual environments, on modeling and simulations. So I was very interested in crowd behavior. So I spent about a year and a half working on a simulation model to understand crowd behavior in emergency situations. And it was used to explore or to maybe define a little bit or validate emergency routes in large spaces. This was back home when I was in Ecuador. And to be honest, I've always been fascinated at behavior at scale, and I think that's also a little bit of what shows up in my work now, understanding behavior at scale, looking at data, trying to understand where patterns forming and what to do about them. Yeah.
How did it happen that you, after spending like 7 years, right, at the company, and then you become the adjunct professor? You were super young, and I mean, it's a pretty cool experience, I guess.
No, yeah, for sure. So, because I was doing a lot of relatively new things, I guess, in the space, different, I guess, animation studios or graphic houses in Ecuador knew about me because I was building software for animation to automate parts of the workflow and so on. And I kind of made a name out of it, really, which is kind of strange because it's such a niche, narrow kind of a thing. Then somebody invited me to do like a like a guest lecturer sort of thing. And then I did it, a couple of times in 1 month, and then invited me over the following month. And then the dean offered me if I'm interested. Of course, I think I did not prepare myself to be a professor, right? I'm not educated to educate other people. And I do believe it should be done that way. So they actually offer a lot of support. And I ended up teaching at a design school for about 2 years and a half.
So what did you teach?
I taught matte painting, which is a form of digital painting, digital illustration, similar to that, and animation, digital animation. Yeah, so it's pretty fun. Motion graphics. I think everything changes name over time, so now it's called motion graphics.
So and now it's called
motion graphics.
Motion graphics.
Yeah.
And when did you come up with the? No, not come up with the idea, but you kind of realize, okay, I'm in digital design from now on.
So I think I saw glimpses of that when I was working on the behavior kind of simulation model. I realized that I am fascinated by that, right? Like those two extremes of like the possibilities of technology and the intricacies of human behavior. And really, when I look at it from the distance, what's in between those is UX, user experience. UX, helping people to access something or exchange value through most likely a digital interface, right? And that's what kind of finessed me towards digital design and user experience, which is what I do now. Yeah.
And after that, it was China, right? So what was your China story?
Oh,
How
that's
did you come here?
Yeah, so I had a small studio. It was a mix of design and kind of like tech building. So we were doing a lot of the. Back then, it was like ActionScript. It was like almost like a programming language for motion graphics. We were doing graphic design, me and 4 or 5 friends. One of my clients was EF Education. Actually, you interviewed this guy, Rasmus Rasmussen.
Yay!
Yeah, he's the guy that brought me here, actually. So we worked together for like
Hi,
4 or 5 years.
Rasmus. Thank you for
Rasmus.
that.
Thank you for bringing me to China. No, he's a great guy. I'm super thankful for him. So he brought me over. So I was on a business trip here in 2010 for a few months, and that's actually when I got my nickname, because my name is Mauricio. But when I joined, there was a nice lady, French lady. Her name is Gigi, and then she said that Mauricio is hard to pronounce. It's hard to remember. She says you need a nickname. You're only gonna be here for 2 months. It's okay. Let's call you Momo. I was like, okay, yeah, that works. And then those 2 months turned into 5 years because Rasmus offered me a full-time job, and I was like, of course. But then I got stuck with that name, so I kept using it. So it's been 12 years.
And now it's on LinkedIn. Everywhere.
Now it's on LinkedIn. I literally renamed everything. At some point I had trouble because Facebook is like, hey, you need to upload a passport photo. I was like, no, my passport says Mauricio, not Momo. But anyway, that's a detour from the story. So that's what brought me to China. And I guess what kept me here is just, everything we're looking at, the possibilities that you have around you, the speed of development. I guess people is super cool, food is amazing, and it's super safe.
So you came to China 2010, right? So it's been already more than 10 years, more than a decade in China.
Yeah, exactly. And now I have my wife is Chinese. I have a son, Chinese passport here. So
So no plans to go back?
No, definitely not for the time being. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe in 10 years or so, we'll look back at it. But
you spent 5 years with EF. What did you do, and what is your biggest learning, I would say, and why did you leave the company? Because it looks like company is big and exciting place to be.
No, yeah, for sure. So I think in retrospective, I learned a lot more about my job at EF, but a few years after. I think while I was at EF, maybe I couldn't comprehend everything that I was learning until I had the chance to experience it or apply it elsewhere. So to tell you more, so back then, I think EF was going through a very ambitious period of growth, and we were trying to identify better ways to work together between the online business, which was online education, language education, and the offline centers, basically brick and mortar schools. And my role there was to build all the digital products. I was a product designer. Build all the digital products that would help teachers and students and the organization itself to manage all those relationships, right? How does student access content? How do teachers schedule classes? How does the organization manage content tagging and distribute it and so on? So it was a nice kind of complex system. I guess my biggest learning, however, in reflection a few years after was the former CEO of the digital organization, Bill Fisher. Probably one of the greatest leaders that I've worked for. Super visionary, super inspiring, very tough as a leader sometimes, as you should be, Bill. But he's one of the most inspirational. He had the ability to gather hundreds of people just around a vision and a goal and a rhythm to get there, and it was fascinating. That's probably my biggest learning, and where I've taken glimpses of it and tried to apply them to my life. That's a very loud car, by the way.
Yeah. More and more loud cars in Shanghai, and lots of motorbikes as well.
Yeah.
Wow. But then you found a different job, and that's why you decided to.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's why. Why did I leave? I feel like after like 5 years, even though I was working for them for about a year earlier before that. So 5-6 years, I felt that a lot of the things that we were building were in a good place. They were in the right maturity state, and I was just very eager to explore different facets of the industry here. So I spent a few years here and there. I moved to the agency side, right? Moved from a big corporate environment to like a smaller agency, dealing with clients on the day-to-day, prototyping, trying things, seeing on the ground how people interacted with our design work. And I feel like that gave me a different understanding of this place, a different understanding of my practice, and a different understanding of all these new ways of creating things.
Next one was IDEA, right? As the
IDEA,
big step, and I see IDEA on the list of on the work experience list of many digital design, creativity-related professionals.
Right.
So I'm just wondering, what role does it play in this industry, and why people are kind of very excited about this company?
Yeah. No, IDEA was great. IDEA is a great company. So their service is based on observation of human behavior, and then based on this observation and research, then this consultancy brings new development models, new solutions, new ventures, or new business models, basically, to then meet those needs that they have observed. So it's basically a research-driven practice, and it uses what's commonly known as design thinking. It's a people-centered process, right? Whereas more other consultancies may put, say, a brand in the middle, right, and then build around it. IDEA puts people in the middle and does qualitative research and really understands what is it that truly matters to them and how do we design it. And I guess the role that it plays in the industry when it comes to digital a little bit, it has, I think, humanized how people think about data, for example. I think when I was at IDEA, we acquired a company called Datascope, and back then we started offering the idea of combining the irreplaceable human intuition, I guess, with data science, and we created this new offer, right, of designing for AI, which was attempting once again to humanize how you capture, how you store, how you interrogate data, and how do you use it to create value. I know it sounds very vague. I know it sounds very fluff. It's a highly strategic kind of type of work, but I really enjoyed my time there. And I think if it wasn't because of IDEO, I think my thinking maybe, or my approach to design or to strategy wouldn't be the way it is now. You know what I mean? I think how I think now has been heavily influenced by the things that I learned there. So yeah, very thankful for that time.
And you met Anthony there.
Oh, Anthony, which was also a few episodes ago. Oh yeah.
Super cool.
It's like you're talking to all my friends. Very cool. Yeah, I met Anthony there.
And then you ended up in IKEA.
Yeah.
This is the new chapter of your life. This has been just a year, but I guess it was a roller coaster, definitely, right? Because you opened the new location in Jinan.
Yeah.
And you were
we
part of it.
renovated the new store. Yeah. That's
so
right.
So what's your responsibility? What do you do? What's your kind of like daily schedule look like? You go to work and you brainstorm new ideas. Or...
Right. So it's a relatively multi-layered, I guess, role. So I am the head of digital design, right? So basically, I work with two teams. I work with a design team that is composed of researchers, UX designers, and design operations people. And I work with a product team, digital product team, like product owners, product manager, and product specialists. And basically what we do is we're building a collection of channels, digital channels, whether these are our own channels like our online web or WeChat or the app, or marketplace channels like Tmall, for example. And our goal is simple, really, is to try to make IKEA more accessible to people. Not only for us, but for every retailer. The problems that we're having is that we cannot grow just by building new stores. And when you're a retailer, you grow either by acquiring new customers or by making existing customers more profitable. And those two things are becoming harder to do for home furnishing, and particularly for us, because we're like a low-cost company. We try to make our product range, accessible to the many people. So it's a very challenging environment. So we needed to get creative around growth, and digital plays an important role in growth, and that's basically what me and my teams do. What does the day-to-day look like? So we are very clear in how we work in terms of strategy. So we use this tool that is called OKRs, right? Objectives and key results. So those are what determine, I guess, our strategy in the long term. And everything that we do is aligned and trail directly towards those objectives that we need to keep continuously pushing towards to. My day-to-day could look very different, right? Sometimes it's about ideation, as you said, with my teams, or sometimes about validating new ideas, going to the store, talking to customers, or talking to our coworkers and understanding what are different pieces of the journey that we need to address. Sometimes it's just working with the data team on quantifying engagement and finding new models, to either look at transaction data or look at interaction data and try to build a picture of where are new opportunities that we're seeing, right, to meet the needs of our customers. Could be very different, but it's a very rewarding job. And to be honest, I took it because I've always been a big fan of IKEA. I think through the years, it's probably the only brand that has been consistently next to me as I grow as a professional in China. Like when I just moved here, I had a very tiny studio apartment, and literally my first trip was to IKEA, and I bought this, couple of things there. Then,
we all do.
Like a couple of years down the road, I got promoted. I could afford a larger apartment. I had more space. I could go to IKEA and buy more things. When I moved in together with my girlfriend, she was an interior designer, so we intentionally bought a lot more things so she could help us spice the place. When we decided to have a kid, we were thinking about the nursery. Now that my kid is 4 years old, so all his furniture is IKEA as well. So it's always been around, and I didn't really plan to leave IDEO, to be honest, but then a headhunter showed up with the keyword IKEA, and I was like, don't say more, let's talk. Because it's a company that I admire for what it stands for their values, and for the quality of the people that you get a chance to work with there is very, very rewarding. And it allows me to be myself, and that's great as well.
So you said you had lots of furniture before you joined the company, and then all the foreigners here, they just buy IKEA because it's affordable, it's quick, and it's easy.
Right.
To put in your apartment. Did you have this feeling like, I love it, but it can be improved?
Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah?
I think everything that surrounds us has the opportunity to be better, and everything, within IKEA right now is an iteration, right? So everything is an iteration. So nothing is ever finished in a way. Actually, our design practice on the physical products is called democratic design, and is a cycle, right? So once a product is launched, despite the fact we think we launched something truly great, then there's always an opportunity to refine it. So we're always revisiting our product range. And you can see versions of that. Like when we rolled out, we stopped selling a shelf that was called Expedit, which was super successful for many, many years. But we rolled it out because we designed a new version of it that is called Kallax, which is compatible with all the different inserts, and the dimensions are the same, but it uses a little bit less wood. The materials are a bit different, the finishes are different, and we did it so that we could do a lot of things. Of course, that are more sustainable, that are operationally better for us, but that are also more affordable for people. So we're constantly doing that. And when I was buying furniture, I kept thinking the same. This could be better. This could be a bit different. And I actually have a sofa. It's called Soderham. I bought it 8 years ago maybe. And I still have it. I just change the fabrics every now and then, and I change the legs. But that's my relationship with IKEA for now. So it's good.
Cool. So you had the digital design experience back in your country, right? And you work with lots of multinational companies globally. And now you're in China for over a decade.
Yeah.
Do you see any differences between digital design in China and in the West? If you can maybe sum up in a couple of lines.
That's an interesting question. I haven't been too exposed to the practice of digital design in the West over the last 10 years, so it would be unfair to try and be like in the West is like that. From my observation, I feel like digital design in China has been given a lot more power in a way, because companies here have developed a more experimental mindset, and the market in a way is very fertile for innovation, in the sense of like you're able to launch things that may not be hyper polished, but you can launch them in the spirit of learning. You can launch them as a prototype, and that's not only on the digital side but even on the physical side, right? So I feel like that has given designer the ability to explore new things that in the West came a bit later. For example, the designers that had to figure out how to build a payment solution using QR codes, for example. And I'm not talking about just like digital designers, graphics. I'm talking about the entire product team maybe that had to think through things like that. That, I think, is the difference. I think it requires a different mindset, maybe a more exploratory mindset, thinking that is not necessarily constrained by what exists, but that explores new avenues. There was the misconception, well, not misconception, but there was, I would say the misconception that China would just like copy paste everything that they saw. But on digital, it was never that. On digital, it was always step ahead. Now is several steps ahead, and I think that would be the key difference. The attitude towards design is quite different, personally, I believe.
Apart from being busy with your work, being busy with your family, you also run a community. It's called Beer Intelligence.
Yeah, Beer Intelligence.
And it's been already 7 years, so
Yeah,
you're very consistent about it.
Yeah.
But it's not very noisy, right? So you keep it very private, maybe to the small group of people.
Yeah.
Tell me more about this. I'm curious to know.
Of course, yeah. So me and my best friend Brandon Owens, he's also based here in Shanghai. You should talk to him. He's an introvert, and he likes beer, and I'm an extrovert, and I also like beer. So both of us started just like meeting small groups of people, once a month maybe, or twice a month tops, and we would meet like 5-6 people at the table. And the goal was to meet interesting people, because we both despite like big, large networking events where you meet a lot of people you never follow up. You don't really make any meaningful connections. So Beer Intelligence is this referral only or invite only community we created, where only people that have been to an event are invited to bring a friend to the next event. And we have grown a relatively, I could say small, if that's the word, but like very meaningful, very thoughtful community. And we have met a lot of super interesting people through that. We meet once a month. We handpick, restaurants or bars mostly that are kind of discreet, a bit private, and the group remains small, like 15 people top, so it's introvert friendly, and it's open to everybody. But that's why it's a bit quiet, because it's not like events and posters and banners and sign-ups.
Like founders breakfast.
Exactly. Yes. That's right.
Cool. And also, whenever you talk to people, right, and if they know you, they say like, Momo is a great public speaker, and it's true, because I visited so many events, and you were speaking about, I don't remember, it was the self-branding, I think, back in 2015. Yes. It was amazing, right? And then I saw you on the big stages lots of times, very inspiring.
Thank you.
Do you think public speaking helps you personally to move in your career? And if yes, then how? And what would be pieces of advice that you can give to people who actually want to step up and make it a bit better?
Oh man, I love this question. Well, thank you. I mean, it's nice to hear that. I put a lot of effort in becoming better at it. I think it's instrumental to my work. My job or my work line would look very different if all I can do is to deliver design work and just hand it off to somebody. It's so much different when you're able to tell a story around it, when you're able to describe, the present that we are experiencing, the future we could have, the challenges we have to get there, the insight or the hope that is going to get us there, and the prototype that is going to help us validate something. You can very quickly build a narrative or a story to justify in a way, or to help push for something. And I feel public speaking in a way is just maybe a public manifestation of that. In my day-to-day, my job, I feel like, is to help teams to make decisions, and often these decisions need to be pushed a little bit, right, through the right level of inspiration or motivation, and the same things that maybe make me stand on a stage and tell a story to people that same spirit shows up when I need to talk to a small group of software engineers or product people or designers or researchers to help them to get there as well, right? I feel like it's very useful for my work. Tips for people that want to get better at it. To be honest, I would start with...
I need this.
Yeah, to be honest, I would start with improv. So there's a couple of improv groups in Shanghai. SMAC is the most renowned one. I sincerely recommend improv to people because it gets you out of your comfort zone and it helps you to explore language or expression, I think, in very fun, very creative ways. And once you feel that, you can then channel that sensation later on, and it's very, very helpful as a first step. There's a couple of speaking coaches as well that are pretty good for English speaking people interested in public speaking English. Larry Schuster. Yeah. So those are good places to start, I could say. What helps the most is to also just watch a lot of public talks, really, TED Talks or speeches or slam poetry and whatnot. Those are always good inspiration. Yeah.
Thank you. That's super helpful. And I didn't mention that one thing that I like on your LinkedIn profile, it's said that your LinkedIn tagline, right? Assembling future at IKEA. I think this is just so powerful, so simple but so powerful.
Thank you.
Looking forward to that future.
Yeah,
I wish
me
you
too.
all the best in your next big company's next steps. And thank you for all your sharings and insights.
Thank you for having me.
Lots of learnings from you. Thank you for that.
Yeah, it was very fun. Thank you for having me. You're a very good driver. You're very good interviewer as well. So yeah, pleasure to do this. Thank you for having me.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to look at the camera now. Thank you.
That was In China Between Meetings with Momo Estrella, Head of Digital Design at IKEA. Please share, like, comment, and see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.